And you can't say what you say about me because you're not better than me. You're not better than me at basketball. You're not better than me at life. You know.
Hey, man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same.
Draymond Green has 4 NBA championships. Charles Barkley has none. That was supposed to end the debate. That was supposed to be the shield Draymond could lean on whenever anyone questioned where he belongs among the game's biggest names. 4 rings versus a Hall of Famer with 0. Take this as my apology. I do apologize if that's viewed as public disrespect, 'cause I like to address public things publicly. The numbers were supposed to speak for themselves. Instead, they sparked an even bigger conversation. A few weeks ago, Draymond Green sat beside Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA on TNT, cracked a joke about Chuck's playing career, and the entire studio froze. No laughs, no reaction, no support from anyone at the desk, not even host Ernie Johnson. Then 9 days later on the Draymond Green Show podcast, it all led to this. A 4-time NBA champion apologizing to a Hall of Famer for a joke he still insists was funny. The 20 minutes leading up to that moment are what this story is all about. So, if that's the case, take this as my apology. I do apologize if that's viewed as public disrespect, 'cause I like to address public things publicly. He brought in a witness. He called his mother. He argued that Charles Barkley was not better than him at life. And then in the end, he admitted Charles Barkley was right. Those 4 championships won in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022 during the Warriors dynasty could not protect him from one statement. We're not on the same level. Watch how he starts the episode. No introduction, no warm-up. He jumps right into it. He stumbles through the word storm 3 different times. He struggles to fully describe the situation he's dealing with, and the first thing he reaches for is a witness. There's this, large media storm, not storm, whatever you call it, thing going on around my comments to Chuck when I was on Inside the NBA about him being in a Houston Rockets uniform. And I think I want to provide a little bit of clarity of what I was saying. Kenny didn't laugh during the show because Kenny didn't hear the joke. According to Draymond, Kenny later listened to the clip privately and called him to laugh about it over the phone. A phone call from one of the co-hosts days later. That's the evidence Draymond puts on the table. Nobody reacted. On Inside the NBA, a panel famous for laughing and joking for more than 2 decades didn't move at all, by Draymond's own description. I actually talked to Kenny. Kenny called me and he said, "Man, I didn't hear you say, you, when you were talking about the Rocket." He said, "So I didn't catch the punchline of the joke." He said, "If I caught the punchline of the joke, I thought that was hilarious." And he tries to explain why the joke should have landed. His argument is simple. The joke was fair because Chuck jokes about those same years himself, and he doubles down on it. Chuck has earned the right to poke fun at his own career. That's what comes with spending 25 years making self-deprecating jokes on one of basketball's biggest studio shows. But what happened when Draymond used the same material? That's the part he has to explain. Nobody at the desk picked it up. Nobody at the desk laughed. So he changes direction. He stops defending the joke and starts focusing on the people reacting to it. I was like, well, in the moment I thought it was a joke. I thought it was funny. But nobody reacted. Now the audience becomes the issue. Not the joke, not the silent room. That's already the 3rd version of the story in less than 4 minutes. Then comes the comment that sends the entire podcast into overdrive. The one line everything else keeps coming back to. Listen carefully to the rule he creates. If you're not better than him, then you don't get to talk. Not about basketball. Not about life. That's the wall he's building around himself in real time on the Draymond Green Show. Sitting in his own chair. And he's not finished yet. The reason that I would even say that, right, it'd be very stupid to be like, Chuck, when you were in Phoenix, I wouldn't want to look like that. Or your first couple years in Houston, I wouldn't want to look like that. That'd be stupid, actually. However, what Chuck makes fun about in his career is actually the last 2 years in Houston. Chuck's last 2 years in Houston is what he talks about, is what he say. I suck, man. I was out of shape. I was hurt. I sucked, but I was going to get that free money. That's what he says. Critics, fans, analysts, people in the comments, everybody. According to that rule, if you're not better at basketball and not better at life, then you don't get a voice when it comes to him. That's the standard he places in front of his audience. Keep that rule in mind, because over the next several minutes he's going to contradict it himself. So what I found interesting was how everybody tried to make it like this whole, man, Draymond think he better than Chuck thing. I found that interesting because what it shows is how bad y'all want me to do bad Chuck. And you can't say what you say about me. 'Cause you're not better than me. You're not better than me at basketball. You're not better than me at life. You know, for sure. One of the media personalities. Just a minute earlier, Draymond was building a wall that said, nobody who isn't better than him at basketball or life gets to speak on him. Now, Charles Barkley suddenly becomes incredible. Someone with a legendary career. Someone who stands among the top media personalities of his generation. The praise softens the message, and he uses it to set up another shot. Notice the names he reaches for. Steph Curry and LeBron James. He's measuring Chuck's career against theirs, not against his own. How dare him talk about Chuck? He ain't better, but then you can't talk about me because you're not better. Charles Barkley's incredible. Had a great career and is one of the media personalities for sure. And that's when his mother becomes part of the story. He calls his mother because she was watching the show. She was texting him. She genuinely thought he and Chuck were in the middle of a real dispute. His solution: put Charles Barkley on the phone with her because Chuck is one of her 3 favorite players ever. I've seen him say things about Steph Curry. His career ain't better than Steph Curry's. I've seen him say things about LeBron James. His career is not better than LeBron James. Think about that for a second. Draymond took a shot at one of his mother's basketball heroes on national television, and the hero ended up calming her down himself. The wall he spent the entire conversation hiding behind was always the same number. 4 rings. That number was supposed to shut down every argument with anyone who had fewer championships. And then on that very same podcast something changed. He's suddenly naming what he isn't out loud. The same man who argued Charles Barkley isn't better than him is now placing himself in a group of players who never reached Barkley's level of individual success. I FaceTime my mom and flip the camera. My mom's favorite 3 players are Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Isaiah Thomas. Favorite 3 players in her life. 4 times I haven't lost. And I know what that feels like. So I'm not upset about that. 1 MVP, 11 All-Star appearances, a Hall of Fame plaque hanging since 2006. Charles Barkley has all of that. Draymond Green has 0 MVPs and 4 All-Star appearances. Right. Like I'm not an MVP of the NBA like Charles. I'm not an MVP of the NBA like Karl Malone. I'm not a 12-time All-Star like Charles Barkley, an MVP. The list Draymond reads out loud is actually a list of accomplishments Chuck owns and he doesn't. Suddenly, not better at basketball, comes with details that Draymond himself provides. Then comes the moment the entire podcast has been moving toward. He reads Barkley's words out loud on his own show. 6 words. We're not on the same level. That's what Charles Barkley said about Draymond Green. I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level. Yeah, I'm not an NBA MVP. I'm not at all. On another show with another audience, Draymond could have ignored it completely. He could have laughed it off. He could have pointed to the 4 championships and moved on. Instead, he chose to repeat it himself. Then he responded, so he's right. I'm not there. Now play those words next to the rule he created earlier in the same episode. If someone isn't better than you, they don't get to speak. Hey man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level, but I hope to walk in the Hall of Fame. And if I do that, if I'm lucky enough to do that, fingers crossed, hopefully I will be, then that would stamp us on the same level. So he's right. I'm not there. I am also a man of accountability and in telling a joke the way it was received. I don't think it should have been received that way, but it was, and the facts, it is what it is. Yet now, Charles Barkley is sitting on a level Draymond admits he hasn't reached. A level tied to accomplishments in a Hall of Fame career that Draymond is still hoping to match one day. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, if it's received the way I see it being received, I am not too big to say, yo, if that was viewed as disrespect publicly, I can say sorry publicly. And then a minute. But if in fact it's viewed as public disrespect, I can publicly apologize because the disrespect ain't the intent. So if that's the way it's viewed as public disrespect, I can gladly publicly apologize. Well, number one, I don't ever take anything. You can never take personal shots at guys. You know, I've said that in my 26 years. Those aren't words a four-time champion is expected to use while talking about catching up to someone with no rings. By the standard he set earlier in the podcast, Draymond just undercut his own argument. The full turnaround is complete, and now the apology everyone was waiting for is right around the corner. He sets it up carefully. First comes the word accountability. Then he introduces another word, public. And he keeps coming back to it again and again. Then come the words sorry and apology. Last time you had me on the show, I told you I regretted those Rocket years, especially the last two, which I sucked as a player. But I wouldn't turn it down, no free money, with Draymond if he wants to do this, be in TV is get a sense of humor. He takes everything personally. Then the phrase, public disrespect, gets repeated multiple times in rapid succession. Here's the part many people overlook. Chuck never demanded any of this. He went on 2 different shows, said exactly what he wanted to say, and let the reaction speak for itself. Just a few words at the end of it all changed the entire conversation. Then he went on Dan Patrick and expanded on it. Chuck jokes about Chuck all the time. What he doesn't do is let somebody else take that same joke and fire it back at him on national television. Took a personal shot of me, but I'm not sensitive. But yeah, it's been over in Golden State. I mean, if Golden State was relevant, he wouldn't be in the studio with me. Then came the diagnosis. Chuck didn't call him untalented. Chuck didn't call him fake. Chuck didn't question his basketball career. Chuck called him sensitive. And that's where everything connects. Golden State has been eliminated early in recent seasons. That's why Draymond was sitting in the studio that night. Not because he earned a permanent seat at the desk, but because his team wasn't playing. Chuck never had to yell. He never had to make a scene. He simply pointed at the resume gap and the playoff reality. The silence handled the rest all by itself. That's what the tape shows. Around minute 4 of his podcast, Draymond creates a rule. If you're not better at basketball and not better at life, you don't get to speak. Around minute 16, he admits Charles Barkley was right and that he hasn't reached that level yet. The 4 rings didn't stop the silence on Inside the NBA. The 4 rings didn't stop his mother from texting him about a possible feud. The 4 rings didn't stop him from listing Chuck's MVP, Chuck's All-Star appearances, and Chuck's Hall of Fame resume in the very same conversation where he claimed to be the better man. In the end, Draymond Green did the math himself and said the word sorry. Nobody reacted on Inside the NBA, so he spent 20 minutes reacting to it on his own podcast. If you think Charles Barkley's legacy still carries more weight than 4 championships in this debate, hit the like button. If you think Draymond was right and the public turned it into something bigger than it really was, drop a comment and let us know why. And subscribe if you want full breakdowns of every legend versus modern player feud the moment it explodes.